One of the biggest challenges India faces is in the area of providing equal opportunities to all sections of society. Skill development is one initiative which brings equal opportunities to all.
Pan IIT Alumni Reach for India Foundation, headquartered at IIT Bombay, partners with state governments through non-profit, joint venture enterprises to create an institutionalized skill development architecture exclusively for the underserved across all districts of the state. The first such special purpose vehicle or SPV was created with agencies of welfare of the government of Jharkhand. The Pan IIT model of skill development is predicated on a short placement, 100% skill loan financing, best-in-class training and residential infrastructure led by ex-army personnel. The foundation runs Gurukuls with 2 to 3 month training in construction, logistics, manufacturing and Kaushal colleges imparting 1 to 2 years of trade licenses, vocational education in trades like nursing, catering exclusively for the underserved.
बहुत अच्छी ट्रेनिंग आपको मिल रही है। आप सौभाग्यशाली हैं कि आप देश के इस हुनरमंद काम को बढ़ाने वालों में सबसे अच्छी संस्थाएं हैं जो 3-4 उसमें से एक मैं अनुभव किया। मैं भारत सरकार का मंत्री बोल रहा है तो कहीं बहुत अच्छा काम है होगा।
कॉन्फिडेंस हमको गुरुकुल दिया है सर के स्टूडेंट जो निकल के गए हैं वो अच्छी नौकरी भी कर रहे हैं और गुरुकुल के स्टूडेंट्स विदेश तक गए हैं।
आज अगर गुरुकुल में अगर नहीं होता, ना ही मैं दुबई को देख पाता, ना ही मैं 35 से 40 हजार में कमाता।
ये नर्सिंग कौशल कॉलेज है और मेरी फैमिली कंडीशन उतना अच्छा नहीं है कि इसमें लोन प्रोसेस के द्वारा पढ़ाई कराई जाती है, जिसमें कि घर से पैसे नहीं लगते हैं। कॉलेज बहुत अच्छा है क्योंकि इसमें फैसिलिटी ज़्यादा है और यहाँ थ्योरी क्लास के साथ साथ प्रैक्टिस पर ज़्यादा ध्यान दिया जाता है कि इसमें हाई टेक्नोलॉजी के द्वारा पढ़ाया जाता है। जैसे कि सिमुलेटर है, यहाँ वार्ड बनाए गए हैं, जैसे प्रैक्टिस वार्ड है, ICU वार्ड है।
Some of the studies have proven that if we use something like a helmet patient interface, the device which we have developed, lungs problem which lot of patients face can be assuaged and the patients can recover faster and better. That has been proven in some studies.
Ladies and gentlemen, the host for this session is Arjun Malhotra, an entrepreneur, industrialist, and philanthropist, a distinguished alumnus of IIT Kharagpur. He co-founded the HCL Group in 1975. He has served as chairman of Headstrong's board of directors, co-founded Spic McKay, and serves as advisor to various startups.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are all over the world. I have a very interesting panel with the IIT directors. I will introduce them shortly. I'm sure some of you know them. Professor Subhashish Chaudhary, who's director of IIT Bombay. Professor Abhay Karantikar, director IIT Kanpur. Professor B.S. Murthy, director IIT Hyderabad. And Professor K.N. Satyanarayana, Director, IIT Tirupati. So thank you all of you for being here. I had a number of questions that I thought would be of interest to the audience. And the first one is topical for right now. With all the COVID problems that we have in India and students having to leave campuses, I wanted to get your views on what are the plans? How are you planning to go online to teach them? What are the courses you're doing? How are you going to help students who come from rural areas who may or may not have good internet access? I think the alumni would be very interested in getting your view on this. So would you start, Professor Satyanarayana? Would you start, and then we'll go around the room?
Yeah, so this has been a challenge. In March, all of us had to suspend our classes and request our students to get back home so that they're safe. So quickly we had to, by then the semester was 2/3 completed, still about 1/3 of the semester was left. And we had to get on to online teaching mode to complete the semester. And I think our faculty really worked on it and very quickly moved to the particular mode of teaching. And the challenge is, of course, so the issues that keep coming up, whether students have connectivity issues. There are multiple challenges there. First of all, access to computers. Second thing is the connectivity. Third thing is the data availability if you're going to be teaching online. And our experience has been, I think, about 85 to 90% of the students have managed to address these issues. It's less than 10% of students who have these challenges. And the stand that we've been taking is, if we address the problem of if about 80 to 90% of students are being able to access and we're able to go ahead with the teaching, we should put that in place. And for the balanced students, we work very closely with them, get them access in terms of sending them lecture notes through putting them on drives, and then hosting them on our course platform so that when they get access to the net, they could download it and so on. But the more interesting challenge has been to get the faculty who are used to, many of them, chalk and talk or whiteboard and marker, to get on to this medium. And I think that has been a big shift. And now the faculty have started getting used to using this medium. Earlier, they would think that many of them believed that chalk and talk was the best way to do it. But once they've experienced this mode of teaching, I think we get into this blended mode of teaching opportunities that we are starting to look at. So I'll stop there and come back and let the others address this issue.
Thank you, Satya. I mean, I came to you first because you're a third level is the wrong word, but third round IIT that was formed. Let me go to a second round IIT, Professor Murthy from IIT Hyderabad.
Good evening, everybody, and to those who are in US possibly early in the morning. So good morning to all of you. So yes, this is a very, very challenging task. I don't think such kind of a challenge any IIT has taken it before. But one good thing about IITs always is that they are always ready to take up challenges. Okay, so both the students and the faculty. So that's the uniqueness of IIT. So as a result, as Satya has pointed out, 2/3 of the semester was almost over, when on March 20th, we have sent all our students back to their homes. And then one plus point of IIT Hyderabad is that we have what is called a fractal system. Okay, so we have 0.5 credit courses, we have 1 credit courses, 2 credit and 3 credits and so on. And our whole semester is divided into 3 segments. Okay, so first segment, which is one month, let us say, then the 3 and 4, 1 and 2 segment, we call it as 3 and 4 segment, and 5 and 6 segment. So we were almost finishing the 3 and 4 segment when this whole thing happened. So what was left out was the 5 and 6 segment, where students register for 1 credit courses and things like that. So handling was not very difficult, because we don't conduct very big exams for these students to be able to depend on one single exam for their final grades. So that was one reasonable, I think, plus point on our side. But then I do agree, as Satya said, there were a lot of difficulty. We had some students in regions where the students started saying, sir, that our network speed is 80 kbps, okay, kilobytes per second. I mean, in any city, you get 100 Mbps without any difficulty. So from that 100 Mbps to 80 kbps, we had to deal with. So we told all our faculty to go through, I mean, send them notes, send them PPTs, and send them audio, lectures of 15 minutes each or so. And many a times faculty actually interacted with the students on WhatsApp and various means to meet this challenge. And we were able to complete the semester almost in a much to our satisfaction, I would say. We also, for the graduating batch, we have conducted exams, and that was also very smoothly. Almost every student was able to write the exam. Wherever they were not able to, we conducted Viva on WhatsApp, okay, and then gave them grades based on that. So I accepted it was difficult times, but I can say with all the zeal that faculty have and the determination the faculty have, we were able to manage it reasonably well. And we are waiting forward to the next semester to start. Okay.
So thank you, Professor Murthy. That was very helpful. Let me now go to Professor Krantikar at IIT Kanpur. I'm sort of going reverse order in the time of formation. So Professor Krantikar at IIT Kanpur, what did you all do at Kanpur to try and solve this problem?
So thank you very much. Again, good evening and good morning. In IIT Kanpur, of course, the number of students in IIT Bombay also, we have a very large number of students. So first thing is in the March, we have the mid-semester recess. And when this, it started beginning to see that this COVID situation is becoming worse. So first we extended our mid-semester recess and told those students who had already gone home not to return to the campus. And then those students who were on the campus, we asked them to vacate the hostels and go to their respective hometowns. So as a result, much before the lockdown was announced, that is by 15th of March, the lockdown was announced on 23rd of March from 25th onwards. So we had all our hostels vacated by that time, by the 20th of March itself. And by the time, we had already completed the mid-semester examination. Then, in the April month and the May month, some of the online teaching was done, and it varied from the course to course because some courses are very large, some courses have small registrations. So depending upon the course registrations and the instructors sort of comfort with teaching the course, the instructors adopted various kinds of online methods. Essentially, they created e-resources. Some of them e-resources were emailed to the students in the form of lecture notes, PDF files, video recorded lectures, etc. And then finally, we closed the semester by 30th of June. So now what we did in this semester is that the final grading was done based upon the mid-semester, prorating the mid-semester examinations, the other online quizzes, etc. that the instructors might have taken. And this time, our Senate took three important decisions. One was that while in IIT Kanpur we have A, B, C, D, E, F grade, but this semester we decided that no D, E, F grade will be awarded. Instead, a new grade S was introduced. Now this S grade is used towards counting the credits, but not counting towards the CPI or the SPI. So as a result, you can say essentially no student actually got an F grade. Finally, there were no terminations also at the end of the semester. So this was the second decision we took. And third, the most important decisions that we took is that we gave up to 3 courses waiver for the students to graduate in time. And this was because, usually the students who have backlogs, they are able to clear their backlogs in the summer semesters. And since we did not offer a summer semester this time, we allowed the students to graduate even if they have 1 to 3 courses, backlogs, by giving them a waiver. So this was another important decisions we took. And this is how, we have closed the semester by 30th of June. Now we are in the process of compiling the grades and things like this. And hopefully, we will have the list of graduating students by the end of this month. Now,
thank you, sir. Professor Chowdhury, do you want to add something to whatever they've said, or should I go to the next question?
Okay, I can just quickly say a few things. Okay, one is like our journey is quite similar to what IIT Kanpur, director said. So there were slight differences also we had, in the sense that we give the freedom to the professors as well as the student to decide whether they use a normal letter grade which exists, because we could complete, remember, during the time up to 60% of the curriculum. And normally we have our NSEM, where we have the last closer. Our amount of, the weight is between 0 to around 50%. So we reduced our NSEM so that the continuous evaluation that we do at IIT, that gets more prominence, particularly this reason. And because of that, we could actually complete all our grading. And some of the students who asked for S grade, so they would be now given another opportunity whenever available to see whether they can convert it into a later grade whenever the situation becomes normal. So that's basically the one difference. The second one is that we also have some of the students who normally cannot clear it in time. So this has certain backlogs. So what we did is that during the semester that we prolonged it, because the students have their problem in terms of the internet speed, accessibility, and others. So we said that even though you may be giving, streaming your online education, they must be recorded and put it into some appropriate site for the students to take it at a later stage. And you want to slow it down. At the same time, we ran a summer semester, and many of the students, only for those who are of the graduating batch, and we could take roughly around 200 odd students, we finished their semester purely on an online basis. So we could do that. But one of the things I think none of the directors said, and I think to me is also very important, was that we are talking about so much only about the teaching aspects of it. But IITs are also a lot of emphasis on the research, all of them, whether it's the first generation or the old generation. And what has happened is that the teaching we could recover to some extent because of online and others. But the major damage that this pandemic has done to us is on the research front. Because many of the labs, you need the access to the laboratories. Okay, the students have to be there. Not everybody is working on software or simulation activities. And we had to close down all the labs. Even now they are closed. And this is something that we are really worried about, because when can we actually open it? Because, we are losing, our students are losing their time. A large number, we have like more than 33% of our students are PhD students. And they are also worried that what to do. So we are thinking of gradually bringing them back based on their seniority in their PhD program. But this is an irreparable loss, I think, that pandemic has done. It, because whenever we start, it cannot be like a warm start. It will have a cold start. So that's I think the worst part of the pandemic that has created a difficulty for the IIT system. I think I would stop at this point and let Arjun take it up now.
Thank you. Yes, and I will not get to how the PhD students would come back and how research would start, because I know right now no one has the answers. And that is going to be, we'll all be conjecturing. But what I would like to ask is, we all talk about at some stage, this pandemic will peter down, become easier, go away, whatever happens. And there's what people are talking about as the new normal. in the new normal, a lot of companies, at least the business that I've been in, IT services, are talking about not getting people back to office but working from home. How do you think the new normal is going to impact the IITs? And I know we'll all be guessing right now because we don't know what the new normal would be, but I'm sure the audience would love to have your views and what you think is going to happen as and when it happens. And this time I'll start with Professor Chowdhury and we'll go the reverse way than we did last time. Professor Chowdhury.
So thank you, Arjun. Yes, see, new normal, this term, of course, we are hearing every day. And since you are in an IT industry, it's easier said than done, okay? Because we work in our system where a lot, even in the engineering curriculum, if you look at it, there's a lot of laboratory component, okay, where the person has to be there, and the social distancing and other, if you have to maintain over a longer time. We're trying to see that if we can move our laboratories to the next semester when situation maybe may improve a little bit, but when you actually bring in the students to the laboratories, you know that our hostels are cramped. So how would you maintain that? Okay. Now, if you do not bring them, it's not that, only maybe I would say 10 to 15% of IIT is working on purely on the simulation, and 15%, maybe rest of them actually need what is known as the wet lab, where people have to work in the lab. And some of them would be heavy duty, let's say mechanical and other civil engineering laboratories. You need to be there. Now, this particular case, we are trying to see whether we can actually time it at what point people would come in and what maybe you will run it in 3 shifts. Anyway, IITs, all our labs are open, 24/7. And most of the students are working out in a schedule where they would come and spend some time, and maybe we'll take them back to the hostel, wherever they are, they would stay. And then in some sense, they would continue working by maintaining this physical separation. But it's definitely much easier said than done, because a good research laboratory, no matter where it is, it's very difficult not to have your student in place. So this in place is what is going to suffer. And I have a little bit, I am pessimistic on that, because whatever the product, whatever the output is, IITs, all these IITs, they were really in a very fast track in terms of catching up with a lot of the, the gap that we had with many of the very good foreign universities. And we were doing very well, we were catching up. And this is what I think, because our space, everything is limited compared to what we have in US and, some of the European places. I think we may slip down. It's a possibility that I am expecting that's going to happen. Okay, so I would stop at this point.
Thank you. I think that gives us a good insight. Professor Krantikar, we'd love to have your views.
Yeah, so I think I completely agree with Professor Chowdhury on this issue, that, we have a large, a very strong PhD program, and also the master students, and particularly many engineering disciplines, and even in the sciences, for example, in the biosciences and bioengineering, and of course, as Professor Chowdhury said, mechanical, civil, in electrical engineering, we have a very heavy lab components, and also, the research labs, where students, project staff, postdoctoral fellows, they have to go to the lab to, work on subsystems, prototypes, engineering solutions, etc. And that has been hit very, very significantly. And the other problem, I think, which all old IITs have been facing, is that in the last 5 years or so, the IITs have seen a significant growth in terms of faculty members, and also in terms of the students, particularly in terms of the graduate students, like PhD students and the master students. However, the same growth has not happened in terms of the space and the civil infrastructures, in terms of the hostels and other things. So the hostel rooms, etc., are still limited, and I'm not sure how we will be able to have the norms of pandemic during pandemic times that can be followed, like single rooms to everyone. We also don't have situations like where there are attached toilets to the rooms, etc. They also need to be shared. So all those things are significant challenges in getting back the students onto the campus if we have to follow the norms of physical distancing, etc. Similarly, I think even in the labs also, in the lecture halls also, those are going to be real challenge. As far as the undergraduate students are concerned, like second year, third year, fourth year, or even first year, the theory courses we can do online. But even during the undergraduate programs, it is almost difficult to do the lab. Maybe those labs courses, as Professor Chaudhary mentioned, they can be shifted to the next semester. But our research programs and engineering programs is going to be hit in a very significant fashion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And Professor Murthy.
One thing that I want to say is technical education cannot be completely online. It's impossible to make it online. It's possible possibly for some humanities or some management studies and things like that, because technical education, as my brothers have already pointed out, involves a lot of learning in the lab, okay, hands-on. And this hands-on, without that hands-on, it becomes very difficult. So this is one aspect. And the second aspect also about teaching in general is there is a lot that you learn by interacting with the teachers in the class, okay, and also outside the class. And if many of us have actually become teachers, it was because of our teachers who really inspired. And this is something I feel it's next to impossible to make it in an online mode. So though this so-called new normal that people are talking about, and new normal is okay for a temporary situation, but it cannot become a permanent solution. And more importantly, in an IIT culture, it is as many, if you talk to many alumni of IIT, they say there's a lot that they learn beyond the class in their hostels. In fact, all the students are missing that. Okay, many students keep asking us, when are we going to come back to campus? And there is a lot for them to learn by interacting with their peers and learning from each other. And there is not just curricular activities, but also it's a overall personality development at that young age of 17 to 21 that happens in an IIT environment. And that is something I think no online teaching can do it. So this is as far as teaching is concerned. I completely agree with my friends about the research. Definitely all of us are significantly suffering. We're all waiting when to at least bring in the final year PhD students. Many of them, for example, they are all completing 5 years of their PhD by this July. And 4 months have gone, and typically last 3-4 months, there's a lot of patch-up work that they do, and they are missing that. And there are issues of what to do with these 4 months, whether we extend this by 4 more months and pay them again scholarship for them. So financially also there are issues related to that. So we are eagerly waiting. At least IIT Hyderabad, we are thinking of bringing them from 1st of August, the final year students, particularly from the Telangana region, put them into the hostel for about 2 weeks. We will quarantine them and then put them into their individual rooms, maintain social distancing so that they go back to their labs, provided they want to come back, okay, on their interest, because this is very important. So if some student thinks that he can sit in his home and be able to do his PhD because his work is more simulation oriented, that is fine for us. But those who need to come back, we are eagerly waiting to bring them back. Okay, that's what I want to share as far as this is concerned.
Thank you, Professor Murthy. Satya, you're on mute.
I think they need to unmute. Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, you're
yeah.
So while we have all these challenges that my colleagues have alluded to, there are also a number of opportunities that have come up because of this situation that we've been. As I told you earlier, One thing is the faculty have started getting used to using this new medium of teaching. And for example, especially in the new third generation IITs, where we have limited number of faculty members, we're growing quite fast. This gives us an opportunity because we're going to teach the next semester online. I'm in discussion with my fellow third generation IIT directors saying, why don't we start offer the electives that you can offer to our students, and our students can take those electives. And similarly, we'll offer some other electives for your students. So we are able to better utilize these resources and give opportunity for our students to take courses which we may not have been able to do otherwise. And this also opens up the opportunities for online master's programs and so on. Now what is happening is all faculty, all of us are in the process of equipping our faculty members to do, online teaching, whether it's from their office room or from a classroom or from their home. And also upgrading our classroom facilities to do this kind of teaching. So this opens up a lot of opportunities for work with the industry, people in the industry taking up tech courses, and probably they could do the coursework there. And if they're doing research related, which is lab oriented, then they come and spend some time in the institute. So these are a lot of these opportunities that are cropping up because of this challenge. The second thing is, we had this challenge of the technologies that we need to get out very quickly to address the requirements, whether it is ventilators or PPE for the frontline workers or communication systems and so on. And our faculty members very quickly started working on mission-oriented kinds of approaches, collaborating among themselves. Otherwise, usually it takes a long time, they're in discussions. But here you had a problem that had to be addressed, and also working with the industry outside, working so that we could, for example, in my institute, we've been working on PPEs with Amar Raja Industries, which is the largest, one of the largest battery manufacturer in the country. So they're going to be, our people did all the prototyping of, say, N95 masks using 3D printing, electrospinning of the medium, and so on. And then we are working with them on manufacturing this large scale. And now faculty members are started getting used to working with the industry. Otherwise, usually faculty members are happy working in their labs and publishing papers. So this has given, and also collaborating among themselves and reaching out to colleagues. For example, at ICER, there's an ICER at Tirupati. We don't have a biology program, but they have a biology program. So if you're talking about PPEs and seeing how effective they are in terms of microbial counts and so on, so they are helping us do all those things. So many of these things have, these have been the positive outcomes of this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. That's good to know that, and it's good to read that the IITs are contributing very, very effectively towards handling some of these immediate problems that came up with COVID. I'm going to have two sets of questions. First, let me ask the question from the old IITs, Kanpur and Bombay, who are on the panel. I know Kharagpur has been told to convert themselves into a complete university. So they've got a medical college, hospital on campus that should have been active, but I think it'll now get delayed a little bit. They've got a law, they're from a technical institute, they're becoming a full university. Are the other old 5 or 6 old IITs also being mandated to do that? And are you doing it in Kanpur and Bombay?
So I would say that we are not being mandated as such, but IITs themselves proactively are taking their steps to broaden. So for example, the first step that happened is that, IITs have started the School of Management. Of course, IIT Kanpur historically had the Department of Industrial Management and Engineering, but then we started offering the MBA program. Then the other thing that happened is that we have started in IIT Kanpur, for example, we started a Department of Economics, and we have a BS program in Economics, where the students are admitted to the programs through the JEE. And IIT Bombay also, I know that it has, but it doesn't have a different department. IIT, we started Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering, and in IIT Kanpur, the Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering is also a very, very strong department. It offers, the BTech program, where again the admissions are done through the JEE. So we have been broadening the things. Of course, traditionally we had the physics, chemistry, maths, and the humanities and social sciences, but we now have added the economic sciences, the biosciences and bioengineering, and so on. And of course, in IIT Kanpur, we have a very strong ecosystem of medtech innovations, bio incubator. We have recently also established the Mehta Family Center for Engineering in Medicine. And on a long run, we are also thinking of setting up a school of medical research and technology. Something very similar to what IIT Kharagpur did, but a little different than that, in the sense that we don't want to start an undergraduate MBBS program, but we do want to start a program which goes into the healthcare, because we believe that the next generation solutions in healthcare and medical technologies are going to come from engineering and technology interventions. And therefore, there is a strong synergy of health sciences and the engineering. So we would like to start a school of medical research and technology, but somewhat different than IIT Kharagpur. So in that sense, we have broadened. Unlike IIT Kharagpur, IIT Kanpur does not have a law school. So in that sense, yes, we have broadened it to economic sciences, biosciences, MBAs, management. Yeah.
That's
So
good to
maybe
hear.
Arjun, I can add to what Karandika says, that one of the greatest thing about the IIT system, that it enjoys complete academic freedom. Okay, our Senate, the directors and all other members who are a part of the Senate, they can work out based on their own internal brainstorming. And Kharagpur, of course, did this pioneering thing in terms of going into the medical, but other IITs also on their own, they try to laterally expand, okay, in whatever way they think that they can make some kind of a lasting contributions to the society, as well as keeping the quality very high. So as Professor Karandikar has already mentioned, see, few of the other things are very, like say IIT Bombay, we have done something called a School of Policy, the Center for Policy Studies. So here, many things that we do, typically in India, is very poor in defining a policy from non-governmental bodies and others. So where professors and students, they can work out on different policies. Now, we realize, particularly from an engineering perspective, like, with artificial intelligence, many other things coming in, so you need to have proper, kind of a development of policies who can be like creating white papers, some kind of questions and others kind of thing that we can raise to the general people. So the Center for Policy Studies is one of the things that it has been done. Similarly, I would add another thing is also that, traditionally there has been a complaint by many of the students, you have regimented us into separate kind of departments, whether it's mechanical, electrical, or computer science. Whereas as young students at the age of, like, let's say 17 years, when you clear JEE, you get into one of these because of whether your own idea or through parental pressure. But then, you are not able to go beyond that. So we are also thinking whether we can actually relax our academics in a more liberal science as opposed to like liberal arts, so that, you pick your bins wherever you want to do it and create your own thing. Because finally, it's the students, that we get one of the best set of students, and we just make it an enabling point in our thing. Whatever their interest, let them flourish. It's not get pressurized by the parent. You have to join computer science and you have to do this because that's today is a ruling thing. So these are our motivations. Whatever the kind of thing, if we feel that tomorrow our students would get benefited. Like, so for example, we do a lot of new things. Let's say, earlier, let's say when you were a student and when I was a student, we never thought of like, taking off from our academic side, study, like they do it in US and other places, to set up like a business proposition or something. Now, today's kids are, very different. They face also a lot more challenging thing, but they're also quite, innovative, and they're respectful to what is happening around them. So what we have said that, okay, if you want, we can even give you, some kind of a year off or two. You can go for setting up your own companies. You can do, if we have our own, we are starting our research park, many other avenues. Entrepreneurship is another big thing that we are doing. So we are trying to make it as wholesome as possible rather than being very straight-jacketed departments, and open it up to the students. Let them do it, whatever, like minors, others, if you take extra credit, whatever is required. I think that's the key idea. And I think, the most of the older IITs are trying to do it that way for the benefit of both our faculty. Also, interdepartmental center, interdisciplinary centers are one such examples of how you can actually do it. So I think these are the really good enabling thing that's happening in most of the IITs.
Thank you. That's very good. Good to hear that you're giving flexibility to the students when they come in, and hopefully we'll get more rounded students, if I use that term, when they graduate. Now, I had one last question for the newer IITs, and after that, I think we'll get the audience because we'll be running out of time. But IIT is a brand. It's now been established by the institutions, by the alumni, and at least wherever I go in the world, people know about IIT as the brand. Now, IIT, the brand is quite unlike, let's say, someone like University of California, where you're known as a campus. UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, they're campus brands. Now, with the new 20 plus 23 new IITs coming up, what do you think will happen to the brand? Do you think it'll get diluted, or do you think we'll still be able to retain an IIT brand rather than it becoming a campus? And I'd really like Satya and Professor Murthy to tell me what they think. So Satya, why don't you take it?
Okay. Yeah. So, of course, there's this concern about, I myself am an alumni, and I've been associated with the alumnus of IIT Madras and then associated with the alumni activity. So I know the thinking that's going on among alumni. But you need to realize that the country has grown considerably. The economy has grown tremendously. The aspiration of the population has grown, and there's definitely a requirement from a country's perspective to have these institutions, and also there's a general feeling that from the JEE system that we've been using, at least the top 12,000 to 15,000 students are of the caliber that we need to really nurture in a system like the IIT system. So one side is definitely there's a need, and there's no doubt about that. The second thing is the challenge is, are we going to be able to get good faculty? Even the older first generation IITs have to fill up anywhere from 20 to 30% of faculty. Openings are still there, and given that, would you be able to attract good faculty to these institutions, and in the process, will these institutions suffer and so on? And from the experience that we've been having, I don't think that's been a big challenge. In fact, you'll be surprised that I have been able to attract about 13 to 14 faculty members to move from the first generation IITs to the second, from the first and second generation IITs to move to IIT Tirupati, including a couple of them from Tirupati, about 3 from Kharagpur, about 4 from Indore, and so on. So definitely they will take time. The first generation IITs are 60 years plus old, and so they have a very strong base. But you take, I'll let Professor Murthy talk about it. You take the case of IIT Hyderabad, 10 years now, probably they're about 12 years old, and they're in the national level ranking. They're getting to the top 10. So we've been able to ramp up very fast in terms of the student strengths. I think the first generation IITs are between 10 to of course Kanpur is a little low, but others are in 10 to 12,000 student range. And I think with the experience that we have, we could get there within half the time. they've got taken to get there. And the country is also putting in resources towards this. I've been involved in preparing the detailed project report for the 6 new IITs, and the funding that we've been able to earmark will help us, get that trajectory up very fast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Professor.
Let me add a little more. Okay. One plus point in an IIT system, as my friends from senior IITs have said, is the freedom that we have. Okay, and the freedom that the Senate, enjoys, and that's one of the reasons why IIT Hyderabad was able to think a little, out of the box and brought a lot of new things into it. For example, the fractal system that has been brought, where the students are given a lot of choice to choose from and then learn, at breadth. We have even a BTech in engineering sciences, where first 2 years the students will explore all the branches and then decide what they want to do in the 3rd year. Even a BTech in AI is again a unique thing. Older IITs did not start that, whereas IIT Hyderabad was able to start. And when we started it, we came to know that we were number 3 in the whole world, okay, after MIT and possibly Stanford. So that is the kind of uniqueness with which we have started with. And that's one of the reasons why this year, for example, if you look at the QS ranking also, in the country, we are in the top 10. Okay, not only in the NIRF ranking, maintaining number 8, we are just below the top 7 first generation IITs. So all this is thanks to all these new things. For example, we have a lot of LA course, liberal arts courses and creative arts courses where students go through. We have courses on dance, we have courses on music, we have courses on theater and things like that. We have even a minor in entrepreneurship. We have now recently converted this minor into entrepreneurship into a department of entrepreneurship and management, and that is another unique thing. And we have also been able to have very strong, I would say, startup culture here. We have an incubation cell and a research park, and we are actually coming up with 2 new buildings, each one 1.5 lakh square foot, one for an incubation cell, one for a research park, which will be ready in about a year and a half or so. So these are certain unique things. We have also recently started a semester-long internship for our BTech students in the 6th semester, that they can go for 6 months to 8 months, starting from almost December up to July. They can go and spend in an industry. So we are going in a big way. We have realized that the only way the India can grow is when academia come close to the industry and grow. And these, again, newer IITs are able to take this challenge much better. For example, we have about 220 faculty. The average age is 37. Okay, that's the beauty of this. Everybody is energetic and so much of enthusiasm that they have. If I say something, shall we try this? Nobody says. I mean, typically I can say in Madras, if I say something, okay, they say possibly this won't work. Okay, because of a lot of things that they have tried out possibly earlier. Whereas here it is not like that. Says, let's try, sir. Let us see. Okay, so people are not afraid to fail. So that is the good thing about newer IITs, and I'm sure we will be able to, come up in a much significant manner. Every one of these, I do agree there are challenges. Getting faculty is not a good, not a easy thing. But every one of us, like older IITs, we are very, very conservative in that sense. We would like to have the best faculty. Even now, if 88, 90 people apply, we finally take 2 people for each department. So that's at the faculty level, we will never compromise. And when you don't compromise at the faculty level, and students, I feel, when older IITs take typically 5,000, and when you add the 2nd and 3rd generation IITs, maybe 5 more thousand. But if you compare the 5,000th rank fellow and 10,000th rank fellow, in terms of marks, there are possibly not significant differences. So still bright students only are coming into this. So when you ensure that students are bright, faculty are bright, the future of IITs is bright. And that's what I believe in. Okay?
No, thank you. That's very good to hear. In fact, I believe that of the top 15,000 in the JEE, on a good day, anyone can be better than anyone.
Sure.
So I know the student issue is not going to be the problem, but it's good to know that the IITs will keep up the, how should I put it, The IIT alumni will keep up the work that they've been done till now, and that hopefully that legacy will continue as we go forward. That's very, very comforting to hear.
And just to add one more thing, we have started giving 25 lakhs as a seed grant to a new faculty, which IIT Madras gives. So that way, a second generation IIT is this year, in spite of all the difficulties, we are spending 14 crores for the research funding of all our faculty. That is the kind of expenditure, that we are spending on our faculty, looking at their needs and then giving funding to them so that their research is never compromised. I think if you can channelize your energies into good teaching and good research, and future for IITs is very bright.
Thank you. That's good to hear. In fact, we have about 20 minutes left, and I know there are some questions the audience wanted to ask. So I'll turn it over to Kishan Dhar, who I know is in the audience and was waiting to ask some questions. So Kishan, all yours.
Thank you, Arjun. My concern was maybe, it was very interesting listening to all the challenges that came about as a result of this COVID and the difficulties in research, in even, maintaining physical distancing in the labs. A lot of these have yet to be solved. Now, what I would like to know is, how can the Pan IIT alumni, what can we do for you?
Can I take this?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. See, one thing is already alumni do a lot to older IITs because you have come from there. Okay. My oldest alumnus of IIT Hyderabad is just about 8 years old. Okay, out of campus. So obviously he has not become a CEO of a company, or so he is not in a position to give in a big way. So many a times it is these big brothers. Okay, the alumni of the older IITs are supporting us. For example, we have something called Center for Healthcare at IIT Hyderabad, which is supported by IIT Bombay alumni. So that way, Pan IIT, if we take the whole IIT, brand as an important brand to nurture, so we look forward a lot towards the alumni of the older IITs to support the the second and the third generation IITs which are coming up in a big way. More importantly, what is needed in terms of support, I would say, is to support the students in a big way, particularly in their internships. Okay, and looking at the brilliance of them, and then giving them good opportunities, and then giving also, more importantly, a kind of advice. I would request all these Pan IIT to spend some time with the younger generation IITs, talk to their students, see what their aspirations are, and help them out to keep very high objectives and high aspirations and high goals. And that is something money is important, I do agree, but what is more important is a support. When the students come out, they don't feel that they are anyway inferior to anybody else from any of the older IITs. So in terms of support needed for their internships and for placements, and that is where I would feel we need more support.
So Kishan, if I may take the the question also, let me put it from a slightly different perspective. That we consider at IIT Bombay, all the alumni, entire, be it from our own or maybe Pan IIT, where you include people from all IITs. See, this is like you consider like a family. Like when you joined an IIT, any of our students. So as IIT professors or the institute, we handheld you, and then we took you around. You make it somebody who blossomed into wonderful personalities, wonderful CEOs, and so many great things that our alumnus all over the world they have been doing. So that's the kind of achievement. And now what happens in a family? You imagine that when your parents are getting old, so that's like we are your parents. And in that case, we look back to our children, okay, to help us to do that handholding, the stick that we are talking about. And this is the support that we need. And I tell you what, for us, like next semester, we have to go for the online education. And as already we discussed, that there are a lot of our students who come from 60% of our students come from various kind of reserved categories. And many of them come from very poorer background. So the first thing was very much top on my head, and I was not able, almost sleepless, that how do I provide them the kind of facilities that they need, IT infrastructure. So we came out with a, request, and I'm very happy to say that all our, alumni, no matter where they are in US, India, they came forward very strongly. So, we have already got a commitment for almost like 4 crores to support our students with laptop and data. Now, this is, I think, all other IITs also would need. Similarly, I would say that, for example, many of our students this year, for some of them, they may not be getting jobs because the market is not going to be so easy. So some of them could be provided that kind of thing if you wherever you are, because many of you are in a big, good positions. Third thing that we feel that, this is a time many of our students are getting a little bit of old age because, see, they are all high achievers. They want to be high achievers in their life, and they need certain kind of a counseling. And, that's what many of you have seen ups and downs in your life, throughout your journey. And it's a part of our life. It's a learning experience as we grow. So if that is true, we'd be very happy to set up a channel, and in that case, give our students the kind of your guidance in terms of, look, this is all transitory. It will be there. It will go up. You will get some good jobs. You will spring back like anything, right? And the other one would be on developing their soft skill. Typically, what's happening with various kind of facilities that we see, internet and others, it's also the killing their soft skill developmental part, because you are not directly confronting your students and doing like a lot of talking directly, personal kind of intervention. So this is another set where probably some of our alumnus, again, they came and did our students some kind of this kind of special program. So this would be very useful because you have had like so much of successful. It's how to deal with people. That's also another thing. And so these are the things I think we look forward to the leaderships of various, people who belong to the Pan-IIT system. I would stop here, but let others talk.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can I just a couple of points?
Satya, you're on mute.
Well, it shows me.
Go ahead.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible now.
Okay, thank you. So, especially the third generation IITs, for example, IIT Tirupati has got one batch graduated, second batch is graduating now. So if we could, set up this ecosystem where the Pan-IIT alumni come and reach out. In fact, we have been having a lot of support from, especially from placements perspective, preparing our students for placement. There's a lot of things. There's a handing down from the seniors to the juniors in terms of how you, you prepare for these placements. How do you address this, which is missing here. And we have had alumni from IIT Madras and other IITs also who are available nearby come, do some mock sessions for the students, get them prepared, and so on. So I think if the Pan-IIT alumni can enable this across the various new campuses, the institutes will see a great benefit, and it brings a good relationship between the alumni network and the sector. The other area where I felt like we have Parfi, which is hosting this e-conference, where you have platforms for social good. One of the questions people, the reason why Parfi got formed was, in the late 2005 to 2010 period, when we were doing a lot of this Pan-IIT conferences, people kept asking, okay, your people are becoming CEOs, you're doing well. What is it you're doing from the society for the people who have not had these opportunities? and that is how Parfait got formed. And so if we could create platforms, similar kinds of platforms for the faculty to get engaged and also our students to get engaged, so that gives them a social connect in these kinds of projects. So I think that's another platform which we could create for this particular purpose. Thank you.
So I think I will also echo what Professor Chaudhary has mentioned, that we really need the support of Pan IIT in terms of helping the students, for their since now most of the IITs are planning to hold the semester online, and as was mentioned by many of my colleagues, that many students may not have access to devices or even access to broadband subscriptions and so on. So they really need the support in terms of procuring those devices or broadband subscriptions, etc. So I believe that we need the support of the Pan IIT alumni for this, and plus we need the support of the Pan IIT alumni for those helping those students who may have lost the jobs or who are seeking internships, etc. And I see on the screen the question that how many IITs are planning to hold the first semester online. I think almost all the IITs will hold the classes online for both the undergraduates and the postgraduate programs. I don't think that we can now hold the classes on the campus. And will hostel fees be charged? It seems like a lot of students are asking these questions. At least in IIT Kanpur, we will not be charging the hostel fees, and I think that should be true for other IITs as well. However, we will be charging the tuition fees component. So in that sense, the students will be charged the tuition fees only. I know that in IIT Kanpur, some students have already paid the fees, and we have been asking, these things, that what will happen to my hostel fees if I have already paid. And we have already told them that that will get adjusted in the next semester or next year, whatever it may be. But yes, as long as this semester is concerned, we are planning to go online, and obviously the students who don't return to the campus will not be paying the hostel fees.
Thank you. And Kishan, if I can give my 2 bits to your question. So 2 things. One is, I think you should take the initiative with the IIT directors and open a Pan IIT chapter at every new IIT campus. That way they will have their meetings on campus, they'll automatically get involved, and the Pan IIT in the local area, all the IITians who attend the Pan IIT meetings will get involved with the IIT. I think the second thing, from a strategic and health point of view on a worldwide basis, why don't we get some of the 7 old IITs to adopt some of the new ones, so that as Kharagpur, if we decide Kharagpur is going to adopt Bhubaneswar and Patna, for example, then Kharagpur alumni will spend time to represent them in the meetings and stuff, because you can't have 23 people in the meetings right now until their alumni gets to a certain size where they can represent themselves. So, just some suggestions, and you might want to discuss it with your executive and see how that can help, because I think, to answer your question, in my view, that will help the new IITs to get help from the old IIT alumni, because there will be some kind of collaboration that will happen. Now, there's another question on the question being asked is a collaboration between the IITs and medicine in terms of what's happening on COVID-19. Now, I'm surprised the question's been asked, because there's a lot of newspaper items that talked about it. Just yesterday, there was something from IIT Delhi where they're doing sanitization of masks and stuff like that. So, but I will, since the question has been asked and we have, I think, a few more minutes left, I'd love for some of you to answer it. So, Professor Chaudhary, if you would like to say what IIT Bombay is doing?
Yeah. So as I said that many of the students have left, but we still kept some of the COVID-related research activities alive, whatever the number of students that we have. And see, there have been quite a few developments. See, for example, we talk about sanitization, mostly you're talking about hands and others, but the place where you're sitting, the doctor's chamber, everything. So we have like a UV based to sanitize, your sterilizer for the entire place. And this could be even for your wallets, other things. So this is already been done. And I think technology has already been licensed to a company called THIS Precision Steel India. Similarly, if you look at something called for the medicinal side, so it's called like EcoSunny is another product that one of our professors have come out, and then you can do it's a non-toxic kind of disinfectant. It could be for surface, it could be for your hands, and many other relevant things. So this is like a bio-based thing, so that's possible. We also have some antiviral thing called it's called Duraprot. So it's some kind of a chemical which you can actually have it on your clothes, and this would be wash resistance, and it will be COVID resistant. So it's basically all kind of antiviral resistance it has been brought in. So you can create a mask using that particular one. Similarly, there are also some prophylaxis that has been developed here using in our biosciences department. But interestingly, we tried. So we have a ventilator also, which has been now being manufactured. I think 250 pieces are right now being manufactured in Bangalore, based on the technology developed in our BIRAC center here. But at the same time, I must tell you that for many cases, because this is more expensive, we have a simpler version called some kind of a CPAP machine. So that has also been developed here. So which has been also, we are looking at some kind of a support to the industry. But the interesting one of the the big app which had been taken up in like a state of Orissa, Meghalaya, and part of our Mumbai corporation also is like something similar to Arogya Setu, but it's not exactly the same in terms of tracking patients and others. So we are using it in our campus. We run our OPD using certain kind of telemedicine, and it is being used in KEM. And there are several such things, so I'll not take up all my time. But if you are interested, please write to me. I will connect you to our the COVID, the task force, and they can give you a lot more information. So there has been quite a bit of activities. But remember, we are talking about two things. One is the preventive, and the second one is the palliative part of the COVID. But there is a major chunk is the curative part. So that takes time. And naturally, that's not where, we started working on the genomics level. It will take much, much longer. But the other two aspects, palliative and the preventive, that's where mostly our works are limited right now.
Thank you.
I would just like to mention here that in IIT Kanpur, we had, some of the best consortium that we formed between IIT Kanpur alumni, led by Dr. Saurabh Srivastav and Shrikant Shastri, and some of the prominent doctors from top government and private hospitals, and an IIT Kanpur incubated company by its own alumni who had recent graduates. These three consortiums really worked during the COVID times for the last 2 months or so to develop a high-end mechanical invasive ventilator. And this is a product which has now been tested in the ICU setting, has been certified, and now being manufactured by leading public sector undertakings and also two medtech companies. Now that has been a phenomenal success of collaborations between IIT Kanpur alumni, the doctors, and our own incubator program. So this is what I thought I must mention here, that was grand success during this COVID time.
Thank you, Abhay. We have, I think, 2 minutes left. And
so if I can add here, as I mentioned earlier, earlier if we had to do these kinds of development along with our medical colleagues and others, you will sit down, write a proposal, wait for it to be funded, and then do the research, and then publish your papers and so on. But now what's happened is because there is a challenge to be met immediately, I think everything has been done at a much faster pace, putting teams together, working, finding resources to get it done and move on and get it into a product state. I think this has been a big opportunity that we have had where, faculty have started realizing that, you could do these things in a much more collaborative and interdisciplinary way and a much faster way.
In addition, I can also add that faculty started doing it on their own. No students are there in the campus, and still earlier you wait for a student to be there in the lab to do it. So almost 30 different projects are happening in COVID related at IIT Hyderabad, all by the faculty sitting in their labs and working. I mean, that's amazing, the fastness with which they are coming up with products. That's one thing, as Satya said, it has given us a lot of opportunities to really work in a fast mode.
Yes, I think all of us are very grateful to the IITs for the work they've done in this particular area. I think not just the alumni, but the country too, because we read and hear about a lot of products that have come in. I think we're running out of time. I just want to take a few seconds to thank all of you for taking your time for a very interesting and informative discussion on what the situation is and what the IITs are doing. And I'd like to thank Kishan Dhar, Chairman of the Pan IIT Alumni India Organization, and to all the audience that have been with us. Thank you very much, and really appreciate all your time.
Thank